Hello, this is mbmesh and Bari's C4 visualization. My name is Lynn.
Hello, my name is Jocelyn Cortez.
Hello, my name is David Martinez.
Hello, my name is Andre Gutierrez.
Hi, my name is Jorge Barrera.
Hi, my name is Metzli Herrera.
Hello, my name is Noah McKegney.
mbmesh is a new plugin for MB System, Mbari's open source software package for processing seafloor sonar data. It's a command line tool that takes a multi-beam sonar file as input and converts that raw data into a 3D point cloud composed of millions of individual data points that you can view directly in your web browser. And because mbmesh works from the raw sonar data, it preserves detail that earlier MB System tools couldn't. The issue with the previous MB System plugins like mbgrid to GLTF was that they worked from gridded data. Gridded data is what you get when raw sonar readings are averaged into a regular grid of cells, each holding a single depth value. It's a simple, compact format, but it flattens real seafloor structure. Cliffs become smooth steps, and caves disappear entirely, because a 2D grid can't represent two different depths at the same location. mbmesh takes a different approach. It works directly from the raw swath data with no intermediate gridding required. That's what lets it preserve more details and features like cliffs, spires, and caves. The result is a model that captures what the sonar actually measured, instead of a smoothened approximation of it.
So, what was our original roadmap like? Our first step was simply going through MB System and understanding it and understanding similar projects that came before ours, such as MB Grid to GLTF. Once we understood how these previous projects processed input and output information, we were able to build off of them and begin setting up our own input and output pipelines for X3DOM and CZMJS. And after generating an XYZ point cloud file from our input data and proving that our mesh was accurate, we were able to implement ECEF to help further scale our mesh for easy processing. And in order to input our original raw sonar data, we implemented a structured workflow for reading and processing swath sonar data files, focusing on efficient memory management, proper re-registration, and organized handling of bathymetry, position, and amplitude data. We made use of existing MB system functions, and we also wrote some new ones in order to properly read in pings from the sonar file, process them into the formats that we needed, and then to handle potential errors that could occur while reading in the data and while closing the file.
Converting coordinates into ECEF and creating point cloud. We improved how mbmesh builds its point clouds from swath data. Before, the code mistakenly treated a long track and a cross track distances as longitude and latitude, which placed points incorrectly on Earth. We fix this by using the correct navigation values navlon and navlat from mbread, following the same approach as mbgrid. We also extended the sounding struct to include Earth-centered, Earth-fixed ECEF coordinates, X, Y, and Z. For each valid beam, we now convert from WGS84, longitude, latitude, and depth, into ECEF, using geodetic to ECEF. This happens during ping processing, so the values are pre-computed and efficient to output. Finally, mbmesh now generates a third XYZ file, ECEF point cloud.xyz, alongside the existing geographic and projected outputs. All files now report consistent point counts, correct bounds, and accurate locations. But bounds filtering with the R option works correctly, and all outputs stay aligned across representations of the point cloud.
This is our visualization tool that uses the OGC 3D format to view large data sets by breaking it down into individual components that can be loaded in the browser. These individual components are called tiles. On the top left in green, we can see a parent tile. And as the user zooms in more, the parent tile will be broken down into individual child tiles. These individual child tiles reveal more detail in the data itself. So this feature is called LOD, or level of detail. So to accomplish this, we created the mbm macro. So the macro itself is a shell script that we introduced into MB system. The shell script consists of an index.html file that uses the Cesium.js framework to facilitate the visualization. Before viewing the actual data in the browser, the raw data of the point cloud needs to be broken down into individual tiles that are organized. So using the Py3D tiles CLI, we take the raw data and break it down into individual tiles that are structured into a hierarchy. So the hierarchy itself is called an octree. So once the data is broken down into this octree, the Py3D tiles also generates a JSON file which describes this actual hierarchy. So using the data in this JSON file describing the hierarchy, it will be served to the Cesium.js file to be actually viewed in the browser.
Xstreetum, pronounced as Xfreedom, is an open source JavaScript framework that brings interactive 3D graphics to a web browser using simple HTML text, no plugins, no complex coding needed such as JavaScript or WebGL. We use it to be able to visualize a GLB file that was created by mbmesh. Users could rotate, zoom, and pan through a point cloud to be able to feature cliffs, channels, and slopes exactly as they appear from the swap files. This hands-on interaction makes it easy to spot details and convert the geometry of the 3D object. We chose XFreedom due to its effective way to be able to visualize a 3D object in a simple manner. For ECEF, which stands for Earth Center, Earth Fix, we believe that it was important because it gave a one global 3D coordinate system that works the same anywhere on Earth. Latitude, longitude, depth was good for location, but they are not ideal for a direct or real 3D measurement because the map projection or a 3D viewer can stretch or distort a data in a different way. ECEF avoids that by keeping coordinates in one consistent meter-based frame using the standardized ECEF format, which is the formula that you see on the right side, which is the WGS84. This makes it so it's possible for distance, slope, and volume measurements to be more reliable across regions and across tools without any distortions.
We have a short demo. This one shows off our cesium and OGC 3D tiles format. So this is the target formatting that we're trying to do, where you can see this level of detail, where the farther you get away, the less detail there is. Closer you get, it gets more and more detailed, is the most basic way of explaining it. But unfortunately, since X3DOM does not support this yet, we're using cesium there. This is X3DOM where we've gotten so far just visualizing the point cloud. We still need to do some shading on the points themselves so that you can actually tell where the depth is, because right now they kind of blend into each other, which is one also thing we need to work on for X3DOM visualization. As for the next team, which will actually be capstone for the summer, they'll be creating a mesh from the point cloud so this can show a bit more detail in those points, as well as evaluating Py3D tiles usage and alternatives. We might not want to have that dependency in mbmesh or for MB system in its entirety. So they might need to discuss that to see what the best course of action will be. And then also implementing Draco compression to help speed up the time to actually process that data. As you can see, those demo videos were actually sped up. And also make X3DOM the visualization default, as well as adding GeoOrigin to the ECEF conversion. This just sort of makes it this like a jittery effect will happen in X3DOM sometimes, and GeoOrigin can help fix that by giving it a centralized location, essentially, to actually make its calculations on. And with that, thank you for listening.